You're listening to the Chartographers.
Hello, everybody! Welcome to the Chartographers. I am Evan, your host, and we are here today. It is a fantastic week. I'm so excited for it. And before we talk about the band we're doing and all the other things, I want to talk about the people who are sitting to my left right now. And you're totally check out the Facebook live feed. You can see it as it happens. Sitting to the left, we don't have that. It's not a real thing. Sitting to my left is my co-creator for this wonderful podcast, Taran O'Reilly. Taran,
Hello.
hi. How you doing?
I'm Taran. I'm great.
Fantastic.
I'm really excited to talk about the Decemberists today.
You spoiled it!
I did. I spoiled it. I'm sorry. I
It's
couldn't
totally-
hold it in.
It's totally okay. It's Decemberists. I'm not sure if you guys know this. They are the band that you get when a pair of horn rimmed glasses fucks a sea shanty. That's the Decemberists. And they
Wow.
are here.
We're just going there right out.
But they are fantastic. They're one of the more literary rock groups to come out of the 2000s, and still to this day, they have a following and have changed through so many different styles and sounds that we need help exploring it when it comes to ranking their entire discography, which is why we need another mate on our seafaring ship, which is an analogy Colin Malloy I'm sure would like. Guys, sitting to my left is Bobby Evers. You may know him
hi.
as DJ on CHIRP Radio, as a writer for Pop Matters, and so many other different things. Bobby!
Hi.
How's it going?
Oh, it's good.
Good, maybe, or vaguely fantastic, maybe?
Yes.
Awesome.
I'm low-key amazing right now.
Low-key
Oh, okay.
amazing, which is also the name
Okay.
of his biography, which is coming out. Looking for it in stores this fall. Guys, we were talking about the Decemberists today. Now, let's just, before we start jumping into things, the literary things, how did you all get into the Decemberists? I feel like the default answer for this question is college, because I feel like they are a band that you generally mostly discover in college.
So it was actually before college for me.
Okay.
It was in high school, and I was, I think it was actually the Dark Was the Night compilation.
Oh, yeah.
good.
I got
choice.
that. I got that, and I actually first really got into My Brightest Diamond.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then through My Brightest Diamond, kind of found the Decemberists.
That's
Specifically because of The Hazards of Love. So
That's actually
kind of when I started getting into
fantastic. Cool. Bobby, how about you?
So it was definitely college. I was new to making compilations. So I was making like mixtapes a lot, and then I got a computer, so I started making mix CDs. And I wanted to make a theme CD of bands that vaguely sounded like Modest Mouse. And someone recommended.
That's awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
But like I downloaded the Legionnaire's Lament and I was like, this doesn't sound like Decemberists, but then like my friend Betsy gave me the first two albums and I immersed myself and I was like, oh my god, I can never go back.
Guys, right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
How about you, Evan?
Here's the thing. I don't think I have a very specific starting point. They were a band I know in college, and it's one of those bands that I knew other people were more into than I was myself. And so I picked up songs here and there. I kind of assembled things piecemeal. I think out of everything, like I've heard all their albums like all the way through, but the first album I ever got myself was Hazards of Love. Because I had friends that were like obsessed with the Rake song and just like, it's weird how they are a band that has changed so much that I feel like there are different fans for each period of the band. Sure. There are those fans that like, I liked it when they were, kind of a literary sea shanty group. I like it when they were doing rock operas. I like it when they sounded like shitty R.E.M. There was all sorts of different things that goes through on there, which is why we are doing the task. That's right, guys. It's the Chartographers, so we are going to rank their entire discography and have debates along the way. Bobby Evers, having listened to previous podcasts, he actually did assemble like a list, like line by line item, just like Bryce did in our Radiohead podcast we did a while ago, which by the way, as we record this, the Radiohead podcast launched and it went off to a great success. So far, the podcast is doing better than I possibly could have hoped. So if you're listening right now, thank you. Don't turn it off. I know you're going to want to, but please don't. But guys, let's talk about Taran. By the way, Taran is here to keep me in line because I say this terrible, ridiculous things. Also, Bobby
I'm
too.
the anti-host.
Bobby, it's like antimatter but better.
I just roll my eyes at him.
Yeah, you can actually hear it on the podcast. He'll
You
do
can
one.
hear the eye roll.
Exactly. In fact, every time you hear an eye roll, take a shot. It's a great drinking podcast. Speaking of drinking, guys, let's drink all these in. Here's what we're ranking right now. In There are 7 albums, and it's weird because we had this debate. Thankfully, this isn't one of those complicated bands that has like weird, nebulous, otherwise kind of like almost albums, or do we count this kind of things. They have 7 flat-out albums. There's an EP that goes with each one, and you can maybe make an argument for, ooh, The Tane. I think that could be like a standalone piece
no one
by
could
itself.
make that argument. It's 18 minutes long. It's an EP.
Right. There's all sorts of things, and really we haven't done live albums. I don't really consider those proper canon.
No.
In certain cases, maybe with the microphones, we might consider that canon because he did a live album. It was, oh hey, all new songs, but that's its own thing. So guys, we are down to 7 albums: 2002's Castaways and Cutouts, 2003's Her Majesty the Decemberists, 2005's Picaresque. Am I saying that right, by the way?
I say picaresque.
Picaresque?
Yeah.
I'm going to say
Yeah.
picaresque. 2006's The Crane Wife, 2009's Rock Opera, The Hazards of Love, 2011's Homespun, King is Dead, and 2015's Hey, It's an Album, What a Terrible World, What a Beautiful World. Guys, we have 7 albums to rank, and for those who are listening for the first time, because I just kind of steamrolled over the rules, that is an album where what we do here, we will rank it. We all have our things. We're going to come to a consensus of what the 7 albums are ranked, but we're going to have debates along the way. And the great thing about the guests that we have on here and about me and Taran is that we are all open-minded people, where it's like, I kind of have an idea of what the number 1 album kind of be, but if Bobby has a knockout argument for like, guys, this is why The Crane Wife is number 1. I mean, I'm willing to listen to it. I'm willing to be open. We can hold our ground, we'll battle, but if 2 people outvote 1, we're just going to move on with their lives. So, but let's get down to it. Starting at number 7. I'm going to just toss something out here. Our guest is here, Bobby Evers.
Yeah.
Don't you pull out your list.
All right.
I know you know it
All
from
right.
memory.
All
Bobby, what is the worst or 7th best Decemberists album?
This might be controversial.
I think it will be.
I am specifically not a fan of The Hazards of Love.
Ooh. Yeah,
Oh,
no, that's not gonna fly.
I just could not get into it.
Gate, ladies and gentlemen, out the gate. So Waka, so you were a fan by this point.
I was the biggest fan.
So like Crane Wife came out, you bought it like right away, kind of thing.
I downloaded it right away.
Yeah. Right. So I mean, and I know the previous song that they put it as a free MySpace download at the time was the Rakes song. Kind of the best standalone iteration that you could have off that. When you heard that, what did you think?
I liked the song. I still like the song.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's the one, it's sort of like the single, like it stands alone and like it's really catchy and it's really fun live. It's super creepy and
Oh
it's
god,
just, like,
live?
awful,
I can't
but,
even imagine. Yeah. Taran's seen them live.
Yeah, I saw them live on the Hazards of
Oh.
Love tour.
Man, see that's the thing. I didn't
Yeah.
go to that tour. I
yeah.
feel like if I had gone,
Yeah.
There would
I
have
would
been
have a different
more
appreciation.
unity
that
and
was
cohesive. Yeah.
Because really, the Hazards of Love, when I saw that tour, they did the whole album
Like,
as,
right.
as
You
set
can't
1,
not.
Yeah.
then
Right,
took a
yeah.
break, and then did set 2 of previous songs. And
I should've
both sets
gone.
were really great. But just their cohesion as a band and just absolutely how hard they were rocking. Before I went, I was familiar with the rest of their discography. I was a pretty big fan at that point, and I was really impressed with how much this like twee like garden, it's almost like a tea party band is what it felt like to me on the early
Beloved by the
on
political
early
right
albums,
so much.
and I liked it a lot, but then they went out with Hazards of Love and just totally blew me away. And as part of it was definitely the guests, but even just the core band themselves, I think they really pushed themselves with that album. And
Peter
and
Funk is a horribly underrated guitarist.
places
He's
that
great.
I didn't
Funky
I
McGee.
didn't expect them to go. So
Yeah, my thing was like, I was like, I feel like you're trying to be different and it's not working and you should stick with what you know. But I concede that like if I had seen that tour, I would have a completely different opinion.
But
about
see, but I also don't think that they're trying to be different because it's 2 sides of things that were already there. They had done rock. You look at When the War Came,
and the Tane.
and the
Yeah.
Tane, or previously,
And
then
the
they
Crane Wife,
also
it
had,
became more pronounced.
and they
right.
had also definitely done, I mean, really long, intricate stories already, and so it was just a merging of those two things, and I
guess my other thing was, like, I had a hard time following what was happening in the story.
That I do agree with.
And I feel like if I had known, if it had been clear, maybe if I had a physical copy of the album and could read the lyrics, I might have felt
But,
different.
like, I mean, I almost think about it in the same way of, like, and it's a weird thing to compare, but in terms of modern 2000s rock operas, American Idiot by Green Day. That's an album that legitimately, it has stories, it has suites, it has songs that are tell a narrative arc, but they also, it's one of those things where you can take it as is and enjoy the album on a song-by-song basis, or you could take it in as a full, vaguely cohesive story. Like, it was not too specific in that regard, but specific enough that it can kind of do dual roles. This does not do that. The reason why the Ring song was the lead single is because that is the best single digestible chunk. And it is, in many ways, like a classic rock musical, because there are looping themes, there are, melodies and key lines that come back later as different tempos and played on different instruments and kind of loops it all together. And that song, the song that launched everything with My Brightest Diamond. Which one was that one? The one, the Go Hunting in Waves.
Repaid.
Yeah, oh yeah.
When she's just like fucking wailing up there.
And just that, like that, just, that sustained power. Oh, it's so good. But I agree, like, it's one of the things where, because Colin Meloy he very much works with ornate themes, he works with very intricately detailed lyrics. A rock opera was inevitable from them.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I feel like I felt more cohesion listening to The Island from the Crane Wife than I did with this.
Oh my gosh, I can't disagree more.
By all means.
I think The Island is one of their weakest epics. I think that it feels very disjointed for me. I don't know, I don't think they actually switch keys, but it sort of feels like they do sometimes. Whereas Hazards of Love, I believe, is almost completely in the same key, and it really, it's the songs all flow seamlessly from one to another. I really don't like The Island.
Okay. Well, let me toss out two quick things here real quick. One, and I want to talk about it because we're talking about, I know we're at number 7, so we have a ways to go. But the thing about their albums, and Bobby, I really want to get your take on this, because Taryn and I were talking about this extensively, is their own need for theatricality, and how theatricality as a concept, both literally and in terms of how it informs their music, is a constant throughout their career. How, really, once you start with Her Majesty, at times there's the literal thing where they talk about I was meant for the stage, this very ornate thing. And then with Picaresque, you kind of get a little bit more, like, they're really, Colin Meloy does stories anyways, but with Picaresque, it's a little bit more presentational. He kind of, like, wraps it into a little bit more accessible songs. Of course, the cover art, front and back, is very clearly a stage play.
Yep.
And then The Crane Wife, he has, much stronger story songs in that prog rock sense. And then Hazards of Love, the big epic story that we all knew was inevitable. And then he just kind of was like, well, fuck, I'm done with that now. And then does The King's Dead and What a Terrible World, What a Beautiful World. So I will say, even though I don't have the same narrative cohesion, I agree on that point, there are still enough moments that work on Hazards of Love. And I say moments, because the album as a whole, as fascinating a document as it is, I'm not going to necessarily go back to it every time, but I do think I can do one thing here. In terms of number 7, I will not say it's the Hazards of Love, but I will nominate for our last slot, What a Terrible World, What a Beautiful World. So basically, kind of their REM. The last two albums are kind of their REM albums, really. And it only clicked with me recently, where it's just kind of went a little bit more.
Peter Buck is on the album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's and that's not an accident. It's not. It wasn't a high studio musician they hired for the day.
Right.
Yeah. It's their REM albums. There's also a little bit of Fleetwood Mac in there, surprisingly, which I wasn't looking for until I saw Colin cop to it himself in an interview, and then I was like, oh, and then I found it everywhere. But specifically on What a Terrible World, and now I'm gonna kick myself because I can't remember exactly which song it was, but there are a couple songs on the last two albums that, like, really sound like
Fleetwood Mac,
Stevie Nicks' version of Fleetwood Mac.
Interesting.
Like
Well, and
lips
it was the
on
thing
ladies.
too, where we talk about how on Her Majesty there is, I was meant for the stage, and then you open Terrible World with the singer addresses his audience, which is like, okay, when you're talking about all these different characters or roles that you're taking on, when you're talking about Billy Liar or other things, then all of a sudden you do this kind of this very self-referencing thing where you drop references into like Axe body spray.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where like I know they're a little bit more modern, a little bit more in tune with who they are as rock stars, but it kind of reminded me of when I heard Britney Spears references on the Flaming Lips album that came after Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots, one of my favorite albums of all time. And then I'm like, Wayne Coyne, what the fuck are you doing? I listened to that album, I'm like, dude, you don't need to do this. Like, you're referencing Britney Spears, it doesn't actually progress you or endear you to the mainstream. It actually dates you in a really terrible way. And that's kind of what I felt a little bit here. That being said, Philomena is the best song he's ever done about going down on a girl.
Yeah.
So
good.
Bobby, walk us through Terrible World.
Well, so I don't know. I was really excited when it came out, just because like it had So like when it came out on iTunes Radio the week before it premiered, and I was able to listen to it over and over again. And I just got super into it because like I am one of those who really likes their sea shanty days. And I don't think it's like sea shanty, but I felt like in some ways it was a return to form, like very lush sounds, very like self-contained like narrative things that I really enjoyed. And I just thought it was so pretty. So like it's definitely not my least favorite.
Yeah. But at the same time, my only argument against that is Cavalry Captain is kind of a boring ass song.
I skip it.
Well, right. You skip that, but then I also skip like tracks 9 through 13,
which the entire back half of the album basically. Because Anti-Summer Song sucks, guys.
It does.
I don't even remember it.
Right, exactly. And I don't even remember, like, I remember the Obama quote more than the actual songs itself.
Oh, God.
I really liked
on 1217, and so I feel like
I acknowledge that they do reference themselves a bit more. It's a much more of a self-conscious album. While King is Dead does very much have an identity, regardless of however you think about the quality of that album. This is just kind of an everything album.
Well,
this is a blender.
But
There's a cowboy song.
Sort of what, sort of what Bobby mentioned. I did also like that it was a return to the Decemberists that I had been missing when I listened to The King is Dead.
Yep.
And so that's why I also would not put it at number 7. I would actually put Her Majesty the Decemberists at number 7.
Whoa!
Shots fired!
Mic drop.
Now the only reason, here's a funny little thing too, by the way, because while we were talking before this podcast, and Bobby was asking about the list and the formal rules and everything, it's like, so I just want to say, like, if something happens where you're like, guys, I want to put Her Majesty the Decemberists at number 7, I get to like fight back, right? I'm like, yeah, and also I'm like, Bobby, that might actually happen because it's funny. I mean, we're talking about these wildly different opinions, which I think is fascinating about their discography, but also. Listen, Her Majesty kind of sucks a little bit. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing about it, though. I know, now, Bobby, you did mention that they were your first 2 albums, and I want you to kind of talk about why you love them in a little bit. But the thing that was weird, and I was talking to Taran about this, was that Castaways and Cutouts, well, I feel like Her Majesty is, like, very erudite, very simple, where it feels like he almost wrote the lyrics first and then set them to song. That's what the album sounds like. It feels like the songs, these very kind of basic, kind of strummy little songs, are kind of, aside from, of course, some of the latter stuff, but they're just kind of meant for... they're meant for serve the words. And I feel like with Castaways and Cutouts, they really wrote more formalized songs and focused a little bit more on melody than they did like on lyrics. So weirdly, Her Majesty, in my mind, sounds more like their debut, more like they're kind of coming into their own before Castaways Cut, and of course, Picaresque. So that's kind of my take. Bobby, walk us through why that's your number 1 album.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
Song from Isla Goldberg.
Uh-huh.
Red Ankle.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah.
It's really Song from Isla Goldberg?
Bachelor and the Bride. Like, these are songs that when I hear the first notes, it like strikes to my heart and I die a million times. Like, and it might just be like the time and place that I heard them and like what the impression was left on me, but like I can't
You can't divorce yourself.
Yeah, like I feel like every album has been a stepping off point from that album.
Interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I can kind of see that.
I mean, that kind of goes with what you were saying. It feels like their debut.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, the thing is,
listen, The Soul Ring Life is
like,
great.
Is it though? I mean,
Counterpoint, is it?
I like Red Right Ankle. I've seen them do live, and so it really holds a special place in my heart. It's for sure one of the strongest songs on here. Also, yeah, Bachelor and the Bride for sure.
Yeah.
I really like Los Angeles, I'm Yours, but that's because I have the softest spot for
LA songs.
No, for orchestration,
Yeah.
which is they use beautifully on that track.
Yeah.
It also sounds like Benny and the Jets, which is interesting. Dun,
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 dun, dun. Yeah, totally.
Interesting.
It
We're
does.
gonna come back to rock references a little bit later on.
But
Outside of
but
that,
I mean, but that's what stands out
yeah.
on that album for me. And after that, the songs really kind of blend together. Or they seem like, and maybe this is because I am someone who came to their discography
From the
after
back
they
end.
they had a couple albums out already. But a lot of songs on Her Majesty, I just hear them and I go, oh well, they did this again better on this album.
Yeah. Well, guys, here's the thing. We're at number 7 right now. Clearly, something beautiful is going to fall along the way. So we need to go ahead and do it here. Now, I threw out there What a Terrible World, What a Beautiful World, but that's only because I listened to it very recently. Honestly, I could be swayed with that, or I could be swayed with Her Majesty, just because it feels like the songs by themselves don't have the same weight that they do in terms of purely thematically. So, Taran, if it's okay with you...
I don't...
Yes?
Well, I think...
Don't worry about Bobby's feelings.
No,
They're
no.
not important in this discussion at all. You know that.
But besides Bobby's feelings, I mean, I think it's pretty clear. I have very strong feelings for The Hazards of Love, and he has very strong feelings for Her Majesty. I don't think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, do any of us have strong feelings about What a Terrible World, What a Beautiful World?
Not as strong as Her Majesty.
Right.
Okay. So should we go ahead and lock that in at number 7 then?
I mean, we might as well, though, to be here all night.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I was thinking too. And guys, this is a 10-hour podcast. I know you saw it beforehand because we spend 20 minutes talking about every individual song. But all right, in that case, let's go ahead here just for the sake of consensus, and also because it's not their best. Let's go ahead and put What a Terrible World. By the way, if you know anyone where their favorite album is What a Terrible World, Beautiful World, punch them. I'm kidding.
No.
Don't do that.
No,
That's not.
legitimately, I want to hear why,
Yeah.
because
So
I'm confused.
fans of the podcast, please go to our
It's just so
SoundCloud page and leave notes.
Okay, it's
Yeah, but then
pretty,
like what?
do you
Carolina
remember
Low's
it?
pretty.
I do
Yeah.
remember some parts of it.
Yes, that's the other thing too. We talked about Mistral. God, I hate Mistral. Oh, I hated that fucking
I don't
song
even
so
remember.
much.
How does that go?
I actually...
Right.
Right, exactly.
Some of it's forgettable, but I skipped that part and I just luxuriate in like the Lake Song
make
and
you
The
better, I'll
Wrong
tell you that
Year
right now.
and Philomena and 12-17-12
Yeah.
and Beginning Song.
Philomena,
Philomena
I like because it's cheeky, not in the way that Singer of the Dresses audience is cloying, but also because it legitimately sounds like it could belong on Picaresque, or because it could belong actually on a lot of their albums. It's just kind of wherever you want to drop
It's
it.
sort of like the Billy Liar of that album. Yeah, because he's like, Billy Liar is like watching people and
Can we talk
Speaking
about,
of,
by the
I
way,
hate Billy Liar.
it gets on you. It gets on you.
Can we? It really does for him too. Once he pulls his knickers down. But
Wow.
really, the thing is that in really kind of revisiting all this stuff, Colin Malloy, he is a horny motherfucker. Like the closest thing I can actually correlate to is Jarvis Cocker of Pulp. He's like almost like the American version of that. Someone who's very literate, who writes a lot of songs about class and story songs about people in various times, and also is just fucking horny all the time. He wants to bang so many people, and like
I think he's horny on some songs. I think you're allowed to be horny on some songs.
right, yeah. I mean, not all songs. I'm not saying like,
He's very sweet sometimes.
yeah, yeah.
Even when he's horny, he's sweet.
yeah.
That's true too. That's true too. Even when he's horny, you're like, oh, that was still kind of nice.
God, can you imagine the prelude that he has to have his lover sign before they do sex? It's got to be like,
prelude?
yeah, like his foreplay is like Act 2. I'm like, oh God, really? What's going on now? Anywho, guys, we did that. We obviously are at odds. Before we decide on a number 6, because clearly we're going to be butting up heads along the way, I just want to drop something out there. Guys, how do we feel about The King is Dead?
I like it.
I disliked it at first because it's not what I wanted the Decemberists to be.
Which is fair. 100% fair.
Now that I just listened to it as music, it has
Charm.
It has charm, and it has a couple really good songs on it. And it's still when you take away presentation and listen to melodies, it's still very Colin Meloy. It's just that he wanted to make an album that sounded like American music, so he got Gillian Welch to help him do that.
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know.
And so sometimes he is making a side of quote unquote American music that annoys me, so I don't like it.
Yeah.
And
well, like
sometimes
fucking Rocks in the Box.
Rocks in the Box is a
need
garbage
Yeah, I
song.
don't know that
Rocks in the Box. Oh, really, Colin? You're counting to 10?
Oh,
good
cool.
job.
Yeah.
I guess my feeling is like, so I'm clearly coming from like a Her Majesty Decemberist era. And so like Crane Wife, Hazards of Love, like was sort of a departure from that until the point. So like when they came out with King is Dead, I was like, okay, this is closer to what I want. It's not this. It's not Her Majesty.
It's really
but
not. Yeah.
It's I like what they're doing. It's less tomfoolery and ballyhoo.
By the way, I'm getting that for my text alert for Bobby, what he just said just there. Tomfoolery and ballyhoo. Oh, Bobby's texting me. I agree with that. I mean, when I talk about, and I really am explicit about the REM reference there, because it really feels like this is kind of their, I feel like with a lot of different musicians, and this came up in a previous podcast too, especially in the Beck podcast, where we talked about how certain musicians, as they age, as they get older and more into their craft, they actually stop becoming songwriters and start becoming craftsmen. In the sense that basically, like, instead of, like, I'm trying and, like, pushing myself to, like, try and hit these new angles or these new heights, at one point they're just like, guys, I can write songs, right? And you can clearly hear, like, this kind of much more polished, much more formal, they can do any song any day of the week kind of thing. Prince is an artist who ran into that, who during the 80s and during some of the 90s, he was, like, pushing his boundaries over and over, and then just kind of fell into his ways a little bit, where it's just like, I mean, he could do songs, and he did a lot of songs. Some of them were good, a lot of them were bad, but he just kind of became a formal craftsman, and I feel like there's a clean break after the Hazards of Love. Like, he wanted to do an American album, but it also feels very kind of, not necessarily tossed off, but very ramshackle, very just kind of a lot more plaintive, and also not as challenging. A song doesn't necessarily have to be challenging to be good, but...
I mean, that was, I don't know, like, that was the album that, like, made them the number one, like, it was number one on the Billboard.
Well, yeah, but that's because they sounded like everyone else.
Right. So there's some success there. Like there's some I don't know.
But it's not success that I necessarily
correlate, because as we know,
it's not success that I necessarily need to take heart in either, because I was talking with Evan about this earlier too, and it's less obvious on What a Terrible World, honestly, but on The King is Dead, you can really hear Colin working to remove his affectation. Like, his vowels are very open, and he's
all these words.
He's placing it, like his vocal placement is very good. Like, I almost to the extent where I think that he got like vocal lessons. Like, there was someone in studio with him saying, "Good, now do this next time you're singing it." Like, there's specific like vocal technique happening, and it bothers me because it takes away the charm that their music used to have, and even in like Picaresque, Crane Wife, Hazards of Love, you can really hear him from the first two albums exploring himself more as a vocalist. You know, obviously he'd been doing it for years at that point, so you can't help but gain those skills and become stronger, you know, produce a more solid sound. But then, yeah, when it got, you know, into late phase Decemberists, it really, it made it sound like any 40-year-old rock dude could be putting this song out and putting it on the radio, and it would be doing just as well. Like, it didn't matter that it was the Decemberists anymore. Yeah. So that's why I really didn't like The King is Dead.
Yeah. It's not, at this point, by the way, it's not like we're saying any of these albums are, like, terrible, like, fuck you guys, but, like, we want to kind of get to, like, the actual meat of it, because when you think about it, and you can say that you like the album, which I believe, but I also have a feeling if I were to look at your iPod and look at your most played list, like some sort of black hat hacker, I would see that I don't think The King is Dead would necessarily have as many, like, January Hymn, sure, great, baller-ass song. But this is the Why We Fight, one of their biggest radio songs they've ever had. That does almost nothing for me.
Oh, you know what This Is Why We Fight sounds like?
What?
To the letter, it sounds like Guster. It sounds like Guster. The picky guitar, the really fast under the verses, and the way the chords move, and the like, it's not a saxophone. But it's some sort of wind instrument that they use as like a
sort of
hook at the end of each chorus.
Yeah.
That Guster uses all the
Bobby
time.
is in a pose, by the way.
I have a thought. Okay, so one thing that I noticed with Lake Song on What a Terrible World is that it starts, the opening line of Lake Song is down by the lake, and there's a song on The King is Dead called Down by the Water. And I'm like, what else? Down by the ocean, down by the brook, down by the creek. Like, what other bodies of water can we be down by? Next?
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Down by the puddle.
Down by the puddle. Yeah.
That's this is good. What ones do you
by the
have?
pond.
Down by the pond. Yeah.
Down by the bay.
I started making a playlist of songs that were about water, and like those were both on there. And it's like,
Was there a lot of Indigo Girls?
there should be. I can go revise that tonight.
Guys, if you ever need anything to know about our guest Bobby Evers, he made a playlist of songs about water once, and I love it, and that's why I love him, and that's why he's here. But that being said, we just talked about it a lot. I feel like, even with our various thoughts and opinions, I feel like we could comfortably probably fit King is Dead here at number 6 and not have... Maybe, are we gonna...
Or
maybe...
Bobby,
I mean...
Are you still gunning for Hazards of Love?
No, because oh, fuck, dude. So, okay.
See, again, this is the thing that happens when you start going through it. You remember a lot more, and it's just like,
I don't know. The list that I have in my head is Crane Wife is number 6. But I guess, like, I don't know. I like Hazards of Love even less than...
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Man, I don't like that there's consensus. I feel like we should be able to...
To say our own lists, because we're clearly, like, really different.
Oh, but I love it. I love it so much, because this is the whole point of the debate. Because here's the thing. Other people are going to be listening right now, and there's going to be like, I'm Team Bobby, or like, I'm Team Taran, or only those two options.
No one's going to say that.
But, you're right, exactly. So that's why I think it's fascinating. I think it's a debate worth having. But I'm only going to say it one more time, because I'm not sure we're going to be able to come to anything else. King is Dead at number 6, because... Well, Taran, you seemed against that idea, too. Could you not really? Maybe.
No, I could give that up. I mean, it feels like a little too easy because they're putting their most recent albums there.
Yeah,
but also they're their worst albums. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's not just a matter of their newness. I think it's also a matter of the fact that, and you sometimes run into this. I'm not saying that Colin Malloy is artistically bankrupt as a songwriter, but I feel like when I hear these two albums, I don't necessarily hear the same Joy de Vivre in them. I don't necessarily hear the same fire that I did before, which is fine. It could be stately, but
also,
yeah.
Calamity song just makes me roll my eyes.
How's that one start?
It goes, ooh,
yeah.
ooh, girl.
You know what?
And you're like,
guess what?
Really?
Because of what you just did just there, I'm making the executive call.
Putting the King
Guys,
is Dead
King
at
is Dead at number 6. Guys, this is, I mean, I knew this was going to be a brutal podcast going into it.
Man.
I'm just surprised. Bobby is like in complete shock and disarray. He's like, guys, what?
Can we have my name taken off of this?
By the way, guys, Bleep Evers is here.
Wow.
It's just so fascinating. All right, well, let's go ahead. Let's have Bobby take let's take the stick shift. Well,
mean,
you know,
he still wants to put the Hazards of Love at number 5, and I think
and listen,
I might just have to concede that because.
Well, here's the thing. Well, one thing we haven't done yet is we haven't also talked about the Crane Wife, like, as a whole. And can I just talk about how the Crane Wife and Picaresque have kind of a weird correlation in the fact that they have really catchy lead singles that sound like almost nothing else on the album. Picaresque, specifically 16 Military Wives, and on this one, O Valencia. Like, it's just so odd how there's kind of these... You don't seem to agree, Taran. But, like, these standout pop singles that are just like...
I think that 16 Military Wives
16 Military Wives
definitely is different from, but certainly fits on the same album as The Sporting Life.
Yeah.
You know, they made different but similar decisions.
Yeah.
What did you say?
I said that's such a good album.
It's great. I think Picaresque is a really great album.
We'll get to that much later.
No, but I also think I'm not ready to talk about the Crane Wife yet.
Walk us through it. Yeah.
Let's just put it at number 5 because, like,
Bobby's taking control of the podcast.
wait, are we talking about Crane Wife or
which album?
Yeah, Crane Wife or Hazards of Love?
Hazards of Love?
Oh, okay.
Because I can't just like put on Hazards of Love. Like I can put on any of these other albums, but I don't feel like I just want to like put on Hazards of Love and like go about my day.
I do pretty often.
But here's the thing. No, I agree with that. In terms of, I mean, like, it's one of the things where, because even then, you could still admit by yourself that as great as the thing as it is, there are still flaws with Hazards of Love.
Oh, yeah, there's certainly flaws. And I was also about to say I skipped the last 4 songs.
Really?
consistently. I think it kind of falls apart at the end.
Although, can we briefly talk about how Margaret in Captivity, how the guitar riff on there completely cops the riff from Wanted Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi?
Yeah, you were
That's
showing me that.
amazing!
Yeah. And
that's amazing!
I was skeptical, but he played it for me. It's true. It's pretty
Checks
much...
out.
I know, which is such a...
Same with
it's
Benny
weird.
and the Jets and the...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, they have these weird, like, kind of like music nerd, bingo things that go on with some of their albums. And, like,
Right.
they do explicitly reference things that they're into and like. That one is a little bit more deliberate than anything that they've done before in that way. But I thought that was fascinating. But I agree, too, where the fact that I can appreciate it as an album, but that's the only way to appreciate it. Because sometimes, like, if I put on The Engine Driver, I'm fucking happy as a goddamn clam, because that, I think, is one of the greatest songs I've ever done. And yet, at the same time, I'm not necessarily going to go ahead, guys, have you heard Isn't It a Lovely Night? Have you heard The Wanting Comes in Waves reprise?
Right.
Like, it's just, and it's not necessarily...
obviously not reprise.
But, like...
Pay them repaid.
Yeah, exactly. Which is a fantastic way to go into it. But even then, it's...
No, I will admit defeat on this one. And we can put Hazards of Love at 5.
That's fantastic. And here's the thing, though. This isn't necessarily a knock on the Hazards of Love. It's just in terms of this very difficult...
But only if we put Her Majesty next.
Oh, the shit is
Wow.
on!
So what would...
I know. Bobby's looking and eyeing...
If you look at the track lists of the 4 remaining albums, Her Majesty easily has the most filler tracks.
Bobby, you've seen them live, right?
Yes.
What tour was that? Was that King is Dead?
I have seen them multiple times.
What was
I
your
saw
favorite
them,
time?
My favorite time may have been on the Picaresque tour because it was in a small bar in my college town, and I camped out in the front, and it was like a stage like this tall, like the height of your desk, and like he's right there,
In my
and
studio.
like looking at my facial expressions and like reacting, and like and
Okay, well, yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, I mean, it's not just a matter of being in the front row, because we've been really close to shows that have been kind of like when we saw Ben Folds, we were like 5th row back, and then like an hour into the show, Darren's like, I want to go home. I'm like, okay. He's playing with the chamber orchestra. I get it. It's okay. I already interviewed him. But at the same time, like I get that, but also I feel like that's a tour where the selection of songs they had to cull from, on top of the ones they had previously, like that is like the best distillation. Because I saw their live album that they put out in 2012. They fucking did Rocks in the Box live. Yeah. Why would they do that?
Yeah, they did. They did it when I saw them.
He loves that song. He loves that song.
They did it when I saw them on the King is Dead tour too.
And listen, I know that it's already buried in dead, but also All Arise from King is Dead. Fucking hate that song too. That is a boring ass song. Anywho, so I want to kick it while it's down. While we
2 albums ago.
Woo! It's exciting times. But guys, this also leads us to the place. What do we have left? Castaways and Cutouts, Her Majesty, Picaresque, and The Crane Wife. Okay, this is. I mean, I'm feeling it right now. This is gonna really come down, and I feel like honestly, and here's the one thing I will say to both of you, because I know both of you kind of have to bury things that are close to your heart so far. Getting the
Bobby
Hazards
hasn't
of
had
Love.
to bury shit yet.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Oh, okay. No, he was defending all of them aside from Hazards of Love.
Yeah.
But like we're kind of getting it down into it, and part of me, I mean, not necessarily that we're going to use personal bias to influence what we think is obviously the definitive ranking of the greatest albums of all time, but yeah, that Her Majesty. Because here's the thing: I'm looking at just pick any random song from any of them. You could say, the Sons and Daughters is the closer of The Crane Wife, which is so gorgeous and so unpretentious and so just beautiful. It's
a little pretentious.
Okay, a little bit pretentious. And even honestly, the closer of Picaresque too, of Angels and Angles. I love that a lot, which is just this deeply emotional thing. And I feel like I could also be every single these 2 albums kind of each have their own world. Hazards of Love has a world that they force upon the audience, because clearly it's an opera that they got to do it. And that's the thing about Terrible World, Beautiful World. Ironically, despite the title, it doesn't really have a world. It feels like a shamble of songs. It kind of is like, let's stroll through their discography. Each of these albums that we have left have distinct, definitive things, and I'm really curious. I also kind of want to avoid the way it's going right now, ranking their albums in reverse chronological order.
Oh, that will be the end.
I'm just saying right now. So that being said, Taran, are you still sticking with Her
Majesty?
All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Bobby, at this point, what you would throw Crane Wife at number 4?
I would throw Crane Wife at number 4.
Okay, fantastic. Well, now it's the Evan equation to come rolling into town with my big old swagger and vote.
Okay.
Everyone has shut me down with this analogy, by the way. In terms of what we have left, again, we have very strong albums, and I have to be honest, when I think about Her Majesty, and even, here's the thing, I feel like there are songs on there that I can appreciate more than I actually enjoy. And that's what I feel like they were at that stage. For example, typically you should love The Gymnast High Above the Ground, and I can appreciate the storytelling elements of it as a actual genuine song. It has these, moments and these motions, but I don't necessarily
and then
feel...
it's really boring.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then it has really exciting parts, and then it's boring
No.
again.
Yeah, Bobby
perfect from
rightly
beginning to end.
disagrees. What's your favorite and least favorite song from Her Majesty?
Great question, Evan. I'm glad you asked. My least favorite is definitely Shanty for the Arethusa, because it's a really weak way to open an album. It's
a weird
it's
tone
got
setter.
theater. Yes.
it's a very
And the rest of the tone
tone
isn't like
setter.
that. My favorite, it's a toss-up between Red Right Ankle and Song from Isla Goldberg, just because, I don't know.
Your love of Song from Isla Goldberg is so fascinating to me,
Yes.
because that is not,
Perplexing.
not one of my favorites, but that's okay. And also, I just began thinking about it. It's like, did they just have shitty openers on some ones? I'm like, no, they don't, because I remember
No.
Infantata off of Picaresque, and then it was pretty okay. So, here's the thing. I got a big old swing and vote right here, and I'm going to throw it here to Her Majesty, only because it does feel like their debut. It does feel like it's just kind of this standard set of songs that they built so much off of later on, but it feels Casters and Cutouts is even then a little bit more formalized than there. So it's a tough battle, but we are burying our babies, and that's okay. So number 4 on the list, Her Majesty Decemberists. So guys, we are 4 albums in, we have 3 left. What are the 3 we have left? Castaways and Cutouts from 2002, Picaresque in 2005, and The Crane Wife in 2006. Oh my god. Taran, what do we put at number 3?
My number 3 pick is Picaresque.
Man.
Really?
Um,
Real. Now walk us through why.
Because, look, I really like all 3 of these albums.
Yeah.
So at this point,
let's also talk about how as
I'm
much as we are
choosing-
forcing them into an arbitrary list.
honestly, like, in order to defend my number 3 spot, I kind of just have to talk about how great I think the other 2 are. But as far as Picaresque is concerned, I think the Infanta is a pretty good opener.
Mm-hmm.
It's not their best opener. But then the trifecta after that, Both Go Down Together, Eli the Barrel Boy, Sporting Life, are like 3 of their best songs. Obviously 16 Military Wives is like up there for my favorite Decemberists song. And yeah, Angels and Angles is beautiful.
I always thought of Angels and Angles was a weaker Red Right Ankle.
Interesting. No, I don't think you're wrong about that.
Yeah, no, I don't.
necessarily.
I actually also would say you're not wrong. I
Yeah.
just still like it.
It's still pretty.
But other than that, I actually really don't like the Mariner's Revenge song. I think that similarly to The Island, it meanders a little too much.
It's fun to sing along to in a bar,
It's
but
also
I wouldn't play it
fun
on
to
my
see
radio
them
show.
perform live and watch
Yeah.
them like act like they have sea legs.
Reenact
like,
a whale.
Yeah.
but it still wasn't a great song
Yeah.
live. It was just fun. And as the centerpiece in a way that it kind of is, I don't know. And there's just a couple other songs on there. Bagman's Gambit
Fine.
it's
fine.
doesn't do a ton
It's
for
also
me.
7 minutes long too. And again,
Right.
like sometimes they will justify the length of their songs. On the Bus
They
Mail,
often-
obviously from the same album.
Yeah, On the Bus
I do
Mail.
like. Also, I mean that is a story song. I don't usually hear limp dick guys on the dock very often as a line. or lyric. Yeah.
That song was so good because like I would listen to it and not think too much of it, and then my friend Sean pointed out that like it is about 2 male prostitutes, and I was like, what? That's amazing! And I was like, why do you think that? And he's like, because in the picture it's 2 boys. Like each image in the album art has a corresponding like still image, and it's 2 boys. And I was like, oh shit! That
Yeah.
changes
Yeah, exactly.
the whole story in my mind. Like, yeah,
Cool.
this is great.
So before we do anything else, though, walk us through why you think Crane Wife is number 3.
Okay, the
Well, he
Crane
thought
Wife.
was number 6.
Yeah, exactly. So this is just
So,
a dead ghost coming back to haunt him.
there
also
are-
a good basis for a Colin Malloy song.
There are some pretty moments on the Crane Wife, but I feel like overall it's trying too hard to be a quirky storytelling song. I also feel like starting your album with part 3 of a song
It's
is
pretentious.
it's not pretentious as much as it reminds me of like trying to be in the airplane over the sea, where like it's just like here's part 1 and it's like loosely related but like not quite as fun as
that sounds like personal grudge more than it does
Yeah,
actual.
that doesn't sound like a real
I'm
thing.
gonna nix that.
Wait, no, that's I mean that
yeah.
was what my impression was
Yeah.
when I first heard the album.
No,
I was like,
that's fair.
this
Yeah.
is
I mean, I don't agree, but it's fair. Also, yeah, the fact that they did Summer Song on this and then they did Anti-Summer Song and just kind of shat all over it later on, What a Terrible World. Again, these albums are buried in dead, but at the same time, fuck that album.
I don't know. I just didn't have fun listening to the Crane Wife 1 and 2.
Really? Really?
I would just it would meander, and I would just like check out. I'm like, all right. And then my sister would also sing along to it, and this like really cloying voice would be like, "My crane wife," and like she would refer to me as her crane wife, and like it was very funny.
So it was
Okay,
like this teasing.
So
like,
this is
a
why
little
you
bit.
hate the Crane Wife.
Yeah, like I mean, like it wasn't picaresque,
yeah.
and so it was a little
That's
disappointing.
one of the biggest thing it has against is it's not
I don't
picaresque.
know.
Let's be real.
I like the Crane Wife because it feels like it still feels a lot like the band of the first 3 albums, but they're trying a lot of new things.
Right. I mean, this is like their prog album.
They
to
never
a
have a
degree.
groove like
Yeah.
they do on Perfect Crime number 2.
Yeah,
Or
that's
like-
a great song.
Or like when the war came, going full
But it's
like,
not like a
blown
complete
out.
like Shankill Butchers too is still like a nice kind of
Oh,
like
totally.
They're not completely changed themselves, but it's clearly they're branching out, trying
Yeah.
new things.
And I actually, on the complete opposite of what Bobby said, I think the Crane Wife saga is the best thing they've ever recorded if you count all 3 parts together.
Wow.
Guy, well, I mean, here's the thing. I'm starting a new podcast called Music Fights, and I'm gonna have Taryn and
Is
Bobby
that
in
not
it,
what
and it's
this
just gonna.
This is what this album.
7 albums enter,
podcast
1
is
leaves.
already that.
Shankill Butchers also reminded me of Shanty for the Arethusa. Like it seems like the same song to me. It seems like they're repeating
Well, because
covered
they
ground.
use a polka.
But at the same time, Yankee Bayonet's pretty baller. I just want to throw that out there. So guys, I honestly want to think about this here because we are down to 3 here, so it is a tough ball of nuggets.
I'd also say that O Valencia is a better version of July July. Hot take.
That is a hot take, and I'm cooling it right now. And this is a great debate to have, but honestly, since we are talking about these really great albums, I'm looking at what's left here, I have to throw my vote towards Bobby on this one here because honestly, it's one of the things where it's an album that I do appreciate, and I do appreciate also the Crane Wife 1 and 2, especially not as much 3. But there are fantastic moments on here. They are growing and they're expanding, and part of the reason is that because of that proggy expansion, because they are extending their lengths and trying different, not necessarily structured songs in the traditional sense, and they're trying suites and movements and other things. It doesn't hold together in the same exact cohesive way. There are the moments when it works. It's spectacular, and then there are the moments when it just kind of fizzles a little bit, and I can't necessarily say that in the same way about Picaresque. And I'm not saying that Picaresque or Castaway and Cutouts are flawless albums. I just feel like when it comes overall, I do have to realize that those 2 albums are so much stronger. Bobby is grinning right now like a thing that grins a lot.
A shit eater.
Great Colin Malloy song, by the way. So I'm gonna throw my vote here, guys. The Crane Wife is going to number 3, but now we are at a crossroads like you wouldn't believe. Because, guys, we're down to Picaresque and an album we haven't talked about, and I'm honestly very surprised by this. Because when we usually do the podcast, we kind of intuit how it's going to go, we kind of rank it by ourselves, and it's always there's that one album that we don't really talk about until much later on in the game. And it's Castaways and Cutouts, their debut. And why is that? What is the hold of that album, and how is it already up to potentially number 2?
My favorite part about Castaways and Cutouts is that it's, like, even among the fans, I think it's often lauded as their best work, even though it is not what rose them to fame at, like, basically any point. Like, I think Crane Wife was when I first really started hearing about them. I know that they had some momentum before then.
Right.
But
I mean, we
feel
all kind
like-
of heard these,
I feel like no matter when you find the Decemberists, even people who found them during King is Dead and heard, Down by the Water on the radio, they found the Decemberists, they went through their discography, they listened to Castaways and Cutouts, and they were like, this is amazing. I think Leslie Ann Levine is a really strong opener, and I always forget how much I like it, and then I listen to it again, and I'm like, oh god, yeah. This song.
Any song about a ghost baby is
It's from the,
actually, yeah.
But who does that?
Right.
Who writes
Yeah.
a 4-minute song from the perspective of a 3-hour-old baby that died and has now been a ghost for 15 years?
Like,
That's just insane.
Yeah.
And then you move on to Here I Dreamt I Was an Architect.
basically
which
a
is
perfect song.
like just a perfect
100%.
and all the ways that the way the chorus builds and the way that the guitar
And
parts
as much as I
weave
love
together,
the Engine Driver, it feels like it's just based off of Here I Dreamt I Was
exactly.
an Architect.
Engine Driver
Yeah.
is like a newer version of Architect, but Architect did it just so perfectly.
But July, I think, is almost the spoiler in a sense, because that one, and hearing it, you think about these very classic, like these very, highbrow, falutin kind of songs. This is elbow patch music, But at the same time, I hear that and I'm like, there is a pure British pop energy that comes through here, like a
Yeah.
love of the Kinks and a love of other things that just surprises me. It doesn't show that they're all kind of stuffied up and taxidermy. They're actually like living, breathing people, which is, Go ahead, Bobby.
One thing that's weird about July for me is that, like, at a certain point, I stopped being able to hear the vocals and the music together. I hear them separately. And I don't know if it's because, like, I was listening on certain headphones or something, but, like, I hear the vocals in one ear and I hear the music in another ear, and I can imagine the recording studio where Colin Millay was, where he's, like, singing in a quiet studio with his headphones on.
Well, that's actually real. The opening guitar strum is only in one of the channels, and then the guitars that come in, that's in both ears.
Yeah, that might be what's
But-
going on. But, like, it feels like it's, like, the vocals are super loud or, like, separate. Like, it doesn't cohere in a way that...
I don't love it either.
Yeah. I liked it at first, and now that's all I can hear. I'm like,
Yeah.
this sounds weird.
Right. Well, it sounds. I mean, and even though I love Castaways and Cutouts, I love it. I will admit, it definitely, even moving into Her Majesty and then especially moving on to Picaresque, you're like, oh, they have a budget now.
Yeah.
Like,
Right, and
Castaways and Cutouts is
Made on a
very
dime.
clearly made, on their budget.
Yeah.
They poured their money into
And
this,
I love it.
You love it.
You can almost hear that passion come through. We're like, and I mean, I do have a love for lo-fi recordings, just because you always get that that grittiness, that realness to it too. But you really hear it. Like, guys, this might be our only shot. So a daring song like the Legionnaire's Lament, and even something like California One. That's a very
love
elongated
California
and just
One.
beautiful. And like, I feel like that's not a long song. That's a song that takes its time. And that's
Yeah.
a very fine difference, because other times they did not take their time. They made long songs. And here, this is one like, this groove needs to play out the way it needs to go, guys.
Yeah.
So, and that's...
Well, and especially because it really has 3 movements,
Uh-huh.
even though it only has 2 titles. But California 1 happens, and then there's a different thing that happens kind of in the middle.
Are
And
you
then-
also speaking of, like, the part where they have that clip from the Guy Madden movie?
No, and then it slips into
Then it
the
slips into
clip,
that.
and that's sort of the transition from part 2 to 3 into Youth and Beauty Brigade.
Yeah.
But besides that, it's
Yeah.
just it's a gorgeous piece of music. It never loses momentum, even during the quieter parts. There's still a lot of tension, but there's tension, but there's hope in it. And I think it's something that they tried to recreate again later, and they don't quite recreate California 1.
The Love Is Gone.
Guys.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest, though. This can go either way for me. Like, it's like, we're down to, like, really astonishing albums. Bobby... Just if you had your druthers right now, if it was the Bobby cast starring Bobby Evers from Bobbyville, what would you rank as number 1?
That's hard.
I know!
It's hard because, like, on the one hand, like, I do some... Like, when I hear Castaways and Cutouts, I hear a first album. Like, I don't necessarily agree that Her Majesty sounds like their debut. Like, I do hear her first album on Castaways and Cutouts. But it's still so perfect that I don't know if I want to, like, cede number 1 to Picaresque, even though that's also pretty perfect.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I know. Well, it's just...
Well, it's not hard for me.
Okay.
Hot take terrible.
Castaways and Cutouts is their best album.
Okay.
And it's weird
I would
to...
say... Sorry.
Go ahead.
I would say even... They're both great. They're both really, really great. But when you compare, like... Because at this point, you have to just start comparing, like, individual songs.
Mm-hmm.
Like...
Which
when
is
you
fair.
put-
Fair gambit at this point.
Compare
Yeah.
California 1 to anything on Picaresque. And, like, 16 Military Wives is the only thing that comes close.
Yeah.
And then when you start comparing, like... And then, but then when you start comparing weaker tracks, even tracks that I, again,
Don't love
that
necessarily.
like I appreciate more than like, I think that I appreciate the songs on Castaways and Cutouts more. I think when I look at Cocoon, when I look at Clementine, when I look at Legionnaire's Lament,
Grace Cathedral Hill.
I love Grace Cathedral Hill. I wasn't
Yeah.
even thinking of that as a lesser track.
Yeah.
But then when you start comparing that to On the Bus Mall or Mariner's Revenge Song or From My Own True Love Lost at Sea, again, a beautiful song, but I don't ever really want to listen to it. And like Bagman's Gambit, for me, there's nothing as weak as Bagman's Gambit on Castaways and Cutouts.
But wait, man,
Bobby
I was
is-
re-listening to Bagman's Gamut like in March, and I was like, "Fuck, this is so good and so much better than some of their other stuff." That like,
All right.
man, I feel like
Bobby's torn right now. He's splitting in half.
nothing's right. I'm torn. I'm all out of faith.
Guys, let's rank Natalie Imbruglia albums. Number 1, debut album featuring Torn. Number 2, that covers album that
This
she
is
did,
hard.
White Lilies. God, I know that.
I feel like I can live with it if we make Picaresque number 2. Because you're right, like, those songs on Castaways and Cutouts, comparatively, are perfect.
Guys, I can't, honestly, I had literally no idea what was going to be our number 1 album going into this. I had no idea. I was just so fascinated and I wanted to hear the debates, and it was way more aggressive a debate than I could have possibly imagined, and I love it because, guys, we now have a ranking starting at number 7. What a terrible world. What a beautiful world.
With one album out of chronological order.
Oh,
Number
shit.
6, The King is Dead from 2011. Going backwards, Hazards of Love 2009. The Crazy One, Her Majesty at number 4. The Crane Wife at number 3. Picaresque at number 2. Castaways and Cutouts taking
that.
the game.
We did
We
do that.
did that. Oh
not
my
what I
God.
would've done.
But guys, here's the best thing
What's
about
what we collectively
this is a
did.
fantastic ranking, and what we want to do, we obviously have a lot to work out still. So here's what I want you, the listener, to do. A, comment below. There is no way
Y'all never comment.
I know.
Comment.
There's no way you agree with this exact order, and I really want to hear your arguments below. I want to hear if you're Team Bobby or Team Taran. I'm really curious about that. Hashtag it. Let's make it trend. And then the other thing I want you to do is listen to the podcast right after this, which is the Happy Hour mini-sode, and we're going to get all this stuff out. It's going to be amazing and great. But in the meantime,
And by right after this, he means next week.
and except unless you're listening to way in the future, in which case it was right next to the other one. Time is in flux. We're all gonna die. But let me just go ahead and say it this way. First, Taran, thank you so much.
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
so glad you're here. Bobby, you swung by the studio and you brought all this stuff, and I loved it. And thank you for being here.
Yeah.
You're like a living Colin Malloy song.
What stuff did I bring?
You brought
You
the
know-
Tude, the fire,
Oh, okay.
the baller presence.
Did I bring the sass?
Your ideas.
I thought you were Canadian because I thought you were
You're-
from Saskatoon.
Saskatoon?
You brought your knowledge.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're also a living cartoon, and I love that too.
All right.
Exactly. Hey guys, listen up. Thank you so much for listening. We're heading out. Listen to the Happy Hour mini-sode. Guys!
Oh,
Jesus, wow.
Wow.
I'm saving
That's
that for
pretty
the
great.
I'm saving
Wow.
that for the after feature cut.